Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Our Own Devices. This time, again, a wonderful guest from a wonderful company, one of the top companies in technology for a long time. I remember growing up, this was one of the companies that used to come back to me, as in I heard a lot of because I had a personal connect. And if you know the company is Panasonic, one of the most innovative companies globally. And Panasonic at one point of time, I remember, used to be called National Electric, and that's I'm talking about maybe 30 years ago before it evolved into new things. We have with us Mr. Manish Misra, who is the Chief Innovation Officer of Panasonic. Mr. Misra, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rajan. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure.
So, Mr. Mishra, very interesting profile, as in the designation. Can you give a little bit of insight on what exactly you do? Because I've not heard that term a lot.
Sure. So, of course, my title is Chief Innovation Officer, and I also head India Innovation Center for Panasonic in Bangalore. So, the idea was that uh, it would be a kind of role where you call it as a chief CTO and a mixture of innovation, bringing technology and innovation together. So that is why it was not named as CTO, so to say, but Chief Innovation Officer, which is like, little bit of, I would say, broader sort of, superset of that you want to do from technology and creating innovative new platforms, new solutions. That was the objective. So essentially my role is that I try to create new businesses for Panasonic utilizing technologies and create new solutions, new platform. Some of those are kind of not necessarily in traditional Panasonic spaces, and some of those are like augmenting our existing product portfolio through those you know technology enabled platforms. So that's essentially my role is.
So, a Chief Innovation Officer or a CTO for innovation based out of India, does that say something about how Panasonic looks at India, or is it really the kind of R&D hub that I'm getting the suggestion about?
Yeah, so it's a combination of utilizing technology, which is essentially doing the R&D across various domains, but also if you look at traditional R&D, a lot of things happen through research and development, but very less of those things actually get productized. So my mission is to whatever R&D we try to do, at some point in time we need to help it, productize also. So from conceptualizing to kind of doing feasibility to kind of proof of concept to all the way as a live product or solution or platform. That is what we essentially do. So it's a mix of team of very deep technical expertise. We have picked up some of the best talents from the market, uh, and also kind of working with the sales divisions. Trying to do market analysis, market research, doing business development. So it's a combination of all that.
Is this focused only on the India market, or do you also look at innovations for the rest of the world?
So we started with. So let me kind of give a little bit of background of India Innovation Center. India Innovation Center was born about 4 years back, uh, 4.5 years back, and the idea was to create these new businesses, new platforms, new revenue stream for the Panasonic, primarily for India when it started. And now we have gone to next step that we are taking some of our solutions and platforms to the global stage as well. So we are taking it to Southeast Asia, Japan, Middle East, and all that. So it is not just limited to India now, but we can take it outside of India.
Now, I've heard from a lot of the global companies that if you solve a problem in India or if you innovate for India, that sort of applies to a large part of the world also. Like you have most of Asia, you have Latin America, and Panasonic being a global company, do you also think like that? If you solve something for the Indian market, it is something that you can sell successfully in other parts of the world also.
That is correct, and that is how we are seeing. And also, if you look at Indian, whole ecosystem is quite different. The pace with which digitization has happened, you know, and the pace with which, in fact, even pandemic sort of accelerated that, and very vibrant, ecosystem, including startups and all. So it kind of, gives a very unique problems to solve in Indian context, and some of those are so unique, so creative. When you come up with the solutions, you can apply that to even the other countries, or to even sometimes even the developed markets, you know. So that is, you so rightly said.
If you can give an example of something that it started out of India as a problem you solved and maybe is now available across the world, is there something like that you could share with us?
Sure. So I will give an example of our MirAIe platform. This is basically, it is our uh, connected living platform, and the idea was to make our appliances smart, so to say, and the concept was to help Indian customer without any additional cost, provide the comfort, convenience, and connectivity. Given that we have such a wide range of portfolio of products, the idea was to make them, connected. And so we started with this IoT and AI enabled platform, and we launched it back in 2020. So we launched it with our largest range of air conditioners in the phase one, along with video door phones and smart plugs and switches. And then subsequently, in the phase two, when we launched last year, we added quite a wide variety of products: refrigerator, washing machines, Roma smart plugs and switches, and water heaters, so to name a few. And now we have a quite a large range of products onto the platform. So idea was, of course, and then the pandemic kind of, hit. So these touchless solutions, we saw the adoption was so high during that time, and it kind of, made people's life easier. Somebody was doing multitasking when working from home, you know washing your clothes and taking a call, so you can always do that from your, mobile phone, and it was so convenient for people. And then we also added the features like, working with virtual assistants, whether it is Amazon Alexa or Google Home. So that also added a lot of convenience to the people. Now, all this was not added with any additional cost to the people. So that is something which we wanted. The reason was our philosophy, our Panasonic philosophy, our founders' philosophy has been, democratize the technology. The technology should be a like tap water philosophy. You open the tap and everybody should be able to get the water. So that's the way technology should also reach to people. So we followed that principle in order to create that platform, and now we are actually expanding that from residential to other spaces. So basically we are getting into any space you can manage, so it could be commercial spaces, uh, you know and then we added Mirai industrial IoT platform Pro Factory, so which kind of, extended it to, manufacturing spaces and smart factories. So that is where, we kind of, extended from one phase to second to third to fourth. Now we are working with countries like Singapore, Thailand, where we are enabling this MirAIe platform for their appliances, and subsequently to Middle East as well.
It's quite interesting that you say this because Panasonic is the kind of company which has a portfolio that makes sense in the IoT space, right? Because you cover literally everything, on an appliance or a technology sense. When you even in a market like India where you don't really bring out all your stuff, right? And I hear a lot of companies talking about IoT platforms. Maybe they have two products and they're thinking of adding and adding and adding. But how do you look at an IoT platform with such a big portfolio? Are you looking at saying that I'll take IoT to everything I have, or is it only some parts where it makes sense? So how does that work? And do you also see gaps, where in the product portfolio, and you think that okay, we need to fill that gap too, so that this entire network or the mesh of devices sort of start talking to each other?
Yeah, that is our ultimate goal, and I think again, the basic principle of IoT is same. Like, Internet of Things. So you have connected, you know devices or connected appliances, and which talk to to internet, and you get the data out of that. So and this is going to evolve also. So if you look at, maybe 5 6 year back, the IoT itself was in a very nascent stage. But before we actually launched MirAIe, we actually did a syndicate research, and it was kind of eye opener that not only back in 2019 2020 people started to feel IoT in their day-to-day life, but they were more eager to use it. At least 70 to 75% users said that, and that gave us a little bit of confidence that what we are trying to build actually resonates with the people or customers who are looking for. Now what we have also done in Mirai platform is, devices talking to internet is one thing, but what we did was we kept devices talking to each other as well, and that is where we are making key differentiators. So I'll give you one example. We have our smart fans. Our connectivity model can actually be backfitted to any non-up fan, a non-IoT or non-smart fan, and make it a smart fan. Now, when you have a AC and a smart fan in the same room, we actually have them work through each other to give better comfort and convenience. So, for example, at what speed fan should be, given that what is the outside of the humidity or outside of the temperature, basis which we kind of control these. So fan and AC, they talk to each other, they work together, and that is a different level of comfort and convenience to people.
So, in the case of IoT, we often see that in a household where you have a lot of smart products, but not all smart products are from the same company. So, how do you are you working on solutions where this kind of a thing, like the example that you gave of a fan and an AC, if they are from multiple companies, is it possible for them to talk together, or is that where we are still uh, are still waiting for that standards to fall in place so that these protocols are in place?
See, IoT is still not reached to a stage where you can have common standards which every company will be following, right? So today, if you look at most of the companies have their own proprietary protocols, and so that's where it makes it a little sort of difficult to having different brands work together. Having said that, um, what we are trying to do is we are offering Mirai platform as a service, where certain manufacturers who don't have either any IoT platform or have IoT platform which is not very good, or not scalable, so to say. So then they can come to us and they can take our platform, which is connectivity module, our own IoT cloud, our mobile application, and they can bring their non-smart appliances to make them as a smart appliances through Mirai. So once that kind of ecosystem you build, then it doesn't matter that you have XYZ manufacturers, device or somebody else's. You can manage that. So that is our intention. That is how we want to expand Mirai. At the same time, we have also kind of trying to bring in certain kind of products onto Mirai platform like IR Blaster, which will enable you to not only manage smart devices through Mirai platform, but also non-smart devices. Because once you have IR Blaster onto the platform, you can actually send the commands through your non-smart AC through that IR Blaster. So Mirai could be the interface to that. So that is also our intention.
So, how are you seeing the Indian customers react to IoT or having a smart layer on appliances? So, to give you an example, if somebody is coming to upgrade their AC or fridge, is this a deal breaker for them? Is this something that okay, I'll take it because it is smart, because it can be controlled remotely? Is that really becoming a customer choice now?
Yes. So we see there is a lot more adoption of these technologies and a lot more penetration also, especially IoT and AI. So, and customer use that very frequently because based on their uses pattern, and we see that because we have our backend cloud where we can see that how many times they are operating their air conditioners or their smart fans or their plugs and switches, refrigerator through the platform. So we have all that data that we have gathered. So one of the things that we did was we had actually launched as the part of the phase one, a very unique feature called sleep profile for our ACs. So one very technical issue is when it is a summer, hot summer night, you turn on your AC, maybe at 20 degrees, and you go to bed. Then after 2 hours, you start feeling cold, and you get up at 12 o'clock and make it 22 or 23, and then again by 4 o'clock you're again feeling cold. Then you either get up to turn it off or make it 26, 27. So essentially you did not have a very deep sleep for the night. So we tried to solve that problem by creating sleep profiles in our platform. So you can say that when I turn on the AC, it will start at 20. Then every 1 hour, you can increase the temperature to 21, 22, 23, 24, something like that, or keep it at 25 after 5, 6 hours. So this was a profile that we created. Now, very interesting fact that we have collected after we are seeing the users pattern of people. You know, one of the fact that we noticed was that people who were using the sleep profile, there was no other operation of AC other than the sleep profile driven operations. But people who were not using it, they were still getting up and operating it in the middle of the night 2 3 times. So that is where we started popularizing that how important this feature is. Now what we have done is we have taken the sleep profile, and we have collected so much of data over the last couple of years, right? And now we understand each and every user's pattern in terms of their preferences, what temperature they set. On top of that, we apply our AI engine, and we recommend them what is the best suited sleep profile for you for the whole 8 hours. It could be daytime, nighttime, midday, evening. We recommend them, and we also do that by optimizing the energy uses. So that is something very unique for the customer. So you can imagine the amount of uses they are now getting into.
It is quite interesting. So this means that you have a lot of data about how customers are actually interacting with it, how devices are working over a period of time. So is that also used in improving products when the next version of the product comes? Is it also helping you improve the product? And do you also have a concept, because they're all connected devices at the end of the day? Do you also have the concept of maybe pushing an update, software update, even in case of white goods?
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question, and I think I'll give you some real examples. What we have done is when we launched MirAIe, we also digitized all the warranties. So people need not to have paper warranty, because when you look for the warranty card, it is never there. You never find it. So we provided that as part of the MirAIe platform, so you can see the digital warranties of all the appliances that you have bought. On top of that, we simplified the service. We created a one-touch service button, so that in case you you need to get service, you can service it. On top of that, we are collecting a lot of diagnostic data from our smart appliances, and that data help us in order to understand whether, number one, first of all, we did was the uh, uh, predictive analytics in terms of there is any service need, or you have to go clean your filters and things like that. And now we are getting into the prescriptive analytics phase, so predictive and prescriptive. So with all this data that we collect, it also help us to understand the usage pattern of the customers for the appliances and for our platform. So that gives a lot of insight for us to further improvement in the subsequent years and things like that. So it is very useful. So data is the real oil these days, and that is why we take it very seriously.
Mr. Mishra, one last question. Could you explain the concept of the Pro Factory a little bit more? And again, it's data driven. Also, does it come with any limitations? Do you have a minimum size that you need to implement something like this? How does it work? And how does a person ask for it? Like, is that, if you could talk about the demand side also of such a product?
Yes. So I think last year we launched our Mirai Pro factory, and of course the work was going on for a few years before that. The idea was that given that focus in India for the manufacturing, you know people are looking for these kind of solutions. So we moved from from IoT to industrial IoT, and we provided this MirAIe Pro factory. Now the idea was that there are many phases, when you provide a smart factory solution. The first phase is visualization. One should understand what is happening in the factory. So we have certain machines which are already kind of onto the net, so those are smart machines, and certain machines are legacy machines. So for that we provide our data logger solution, so that goes inside the machine and start collecting the data. So the first phase was to visualize what is happening on your shop floor. Which machine is down, which machine is up, whether it is producing the product of the right quality. So all those things. So that was the phase one that we provided, and then we provided, based on that insight, how do you calculate the overall effectiveness, equipment effectiveness, OEE is what they call, right? So you start once you start getting that kind of data, so you take decisions in real time. You don't get to know after 6 hours that your machine is down. You get to know immediately, and basis that, you can take certain actions. And then we kind of customize. So in this solution you can visualize, you can see the reports, and we provide these insights, in terms of what is the uptime, downtime. You can plan your production, and we are seeing the adoption of this. Now how do we do it is because we provide a lot of manufacturing equipments, like for example our SMT, surface mount technology machines, or our welding machines, or robotic welding machines. So now we have a quite a large customer base in India, and now we are adding this software platform on top of that, and say that not only we can provide the hardware, but we can also provide the software. We can do a proof of concept for you. We can run a very customized sort of proof of concept for you. So all those customizations can also happen onto the platform. So this is how we are kind of evangelizing this.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Mishra. Very insightful, and also it gives you an idea about the future on how we are evolving, our technologies are evolving, and what we should expect going forward. Thanks for being on the show, Mr. Mishra.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Thank you so much.
This is Nandagopal Rajan signing off again. We'll be back next week with another guest. Until then, we are available everywhere you listen to your podcast.